Welcome back to my shop. Now the lamp, which is my entry for Holzwurm Tom's LED build challenge, is finished, and I must say I'm really pleased with it. When Tom announced his challenge to build something with LEDs, I immediately had the idea to build a desk lamp, and very quickly I had this picture in my mind of a very clear geometric shape with not much fuss on it, but just the pure wood. And I had immediately thought of a red textile covered cable, and it turned out that I actually got around to building it just the way I had imagined it, which is not something I would have expected, to be sure. Most of the aspects of the lamp I'm really pleased with. A couple of things didn't work as expected. One thing that you saw in the video is that I realized that brass cannot be bent. So I wanted to make an L-shaped piece of brass down here, and when I hit it with the hammer it just broke, so I realized I couldn't make that L shape, and I couldn't for the life of me find any brass in that L shape or a T shape, which would have been even better to buy somewhere. So I had to improvise, and fortunately I had a piece of aluminum lying around which I could use, but it's not as sturdy as the brass, so the lamp is a bit more shaky than I would have liked it to be. Another aspect is that I had thought I could make this horizontal part here movable and use these wing nuts here to tighten it in the position that I would like it to be. But the slot here in the back of this piece is not deep enough, so I cannot really press the wood hard enough on the brass piece inside so that it holds the weight of the wood. So it just sits on the edge here, which is okay, but it's not as nice as if it would be up, as if it were up here with a little gap. Maybe I'll put a little shim in here which will hold it up and which can't be seen from the outside. Otherwise, another difficult part was obviously to get the cable in here and out here at the bottom. And as you saw in the video, I used that little wire which was very which was a nuisance while working with it, but in the end it was a good thing that I had it in, because it made it very easy to get the cable in here and out at the other end. Well, another thing that I realized is that it's much harder than I had thought to plane a piece of board by hand. I had seen it over and over again by from people doing it in videos, and it was the first time now that I did it myself. And boy, I have a lot of practice before me before that actually works well. I learned a lot about planing in grain direction or against grain direction, or about the angle of the blade or the angle of the blade in direction of the grain. So lots of learning experiences, lots of trouble, a lot of helpful feedback on Instagram by people who are a lot more experienced than I am. So I learned a lot, and I'll put a couple of links to these resources in the video description, so maybe you can learn from that as well. Well, another thing that I learned, a very small thing, is that there are router bits which you can use to plunge into the wood like a drill and then move horizontally, and there are others which only move horizontally. I hadn't thought about that, and I had got a new router bit specifically for this, but I hadn't paid attention to what kind it was, and it was one that you cannot plunge into the wood with. So, well, I had to use my old one because I needed to plunge in and then move horizontally. Another thing that I'll have to pay attention to when I get router bits. Lastly, I realized that this would be best looking if the edges are really crisp. So I needed to round them over just a tiny bit, but not too much. And in the past I've often done too much rounding over with the sandpaper and the cork block. With the sandpaper and the cork block, and then the edges got too round. And this time I paid attention to what kind of sandpaper I used, and it turns out using 240 grit and just doing 1 or 2 light strokes at about 45 degrees to the edge will leave the edge just crisp enough that it looks good, but soft enough that it doesn't feel too sharp on the fingers. So I'm really pleased, as I said, with how this lamp turned out. I hope you like it too, and I'm really excited to enter into the LED build challenge, and you should pay attention to all the other build videos that are entered into Tom's challenge as well. So I'll link to his build video and blog post and to his video on YouTube, which will have a list of all the entries in the video description, so make sure you watch all those other build videos as well. I hope you liked this video. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you back soon. Remember, watch, learn, and then make something.